This thing right here, this is the second largest enclosure that I ever built, but ever since I started working on the Jungularium, my biggest enclosure ever, I kind of forgot about this one, and you can definitely tell just by looking at it. Currently inside there is one huge spider, the theraphosa apophysis. Her name is Bella and she got this huge mansion just for herself, but today we are going to change this because I'm going to do a bit controversial thing, because as I already mentioned in one of my previous videos, I want to add another tarantula inside, and that is the thing that in 99% of situations you don't want to do that, but I'm going to explain you why I think that in this environment it should be doable. So yeah, a huge enclosure, and if you look down there, this corkbark tunnel is her hide and it extends all the way to the back. During the day while the lights are on, she's never outside, she's always inside of her hide, but during the night when the lights are off, then I can often spot her just outside of her hide. And in rare cases, sometimes she's hanging over here, and sometimes I even spotted her like right there, and that was basically the furthest that she ever went outside of the hide, at least that I personally observed. So that kind of proves it that tarantulas don't really need a huge enclosure, because 95% of the time she's basically using like 5% of her enclosure. So enclosure of this size that houses Linda, the Theraphosa styrmi, is more than enough, because yeah, she can also go outside of the hide and she can move around if she really pleases, but that is not what they actually do. And the reason why Bella got this huge enclosure just for herself is kind of a coincidence, because I didn't build this enclosure for her originally. I built it for a completely different animal. I wanted to keep a green tree monitor inside, but the situation with getting the monitor kind of got complicated and I gave up on that idea. So now I had this huge enclosure completely empty, and I had a huge spider, a huge tarantula, and I was like, why not? It will be interesting to see how it will use it. And yeah, that's the whole story behind it. And since this is my second biggest enclosure, second largest enclosure, what do you think, how much larger is the Jungularium? For immediate comparison, this is this enclosure, and we go over here, right here, where you can see the Jungularium. What do you think? Keep in mind that camera doesn't really do justice to Jungularium. Everyone that's seen it in person said that it is way bigger in person than on the video. The fact is, the Jungularium is not 2 times bigger, it is not even 3 times bigger, but you could actually fit almost 4 of these enclosures inside of the Jungularium, and it is crazy. The Jungularium is beast, and now let me show you the beast that we are going to put inside. And that beast is right here. It is an arboreal tarantula, which is a crucial thing for the success of this setup. This one right here, and if you don't know which tarantula is this, let me give you one clue. You see those pink toes? Yeah, that tells you everything. This is a pink toe tarantula, and avicularia, and the reason why I chosen this specific species is this right here, you see? This is their habitat, South America, the exactly same habitat as Theraphosa apophysis, which means that in nature they share same habitat, and this is the perfect species for that enclosure. The whole reason why I started this video explaining you how Bella is only using a small percentage of her enclosure, a small percentage of her available terrestrial space, I told you that because that is the fact that convinced me that this could actually work. This is an arboreal tarantula that lives on top of the trees, while this is a tarantula that lives in burrows, in holes, on the ground. So in theory, these two, even if they share the same enclosure, they will in theory never meet, and therefore this setup should work. This setup will work, but only because of how big this enclosure is. If the enclosure was of that size, the Linda's enclosure, that wouldn't work, because they will definitely meet each other in that setup. But this is a setup that definitely will provide more than enough room for both of them, and I'm definitely sure that it will be a world first. That is if this works. I shouldn't get ahead of myself. So once I add the avicularia, I will set up the cameras and hopefully record a time lapse of her moving through the enclosure, and that will tell us how much she will move around. Although you need to be aware of that until she settles inside, she'll probably move a lot until she actually finds a spot where she wants to web and create her hide. So yeah, we will see. First, we need to do some technical things in here, because it is kind of dry, as you can see, and I need to address that. There's a reason for that, And I need to cut dead leaves, some of the dead leaves. I need to plant some plants. So let's go. First I want to tweak a light a bit. You see I'm using Arcadia Jungle Dawn LED, but unfortunately I don't have the new Luminize system for this enclosure, only for Jungle Arium. I'm going to use this 45 degrees bracket to move the light in the corner, but angle it so it feels the enclosure nice. So I will just screw in the holder on the bracket. I mean on the bracket, this. The LED bar sits in this. I want to put it in this corner, but you see I have this plant in the way, so I need to kind of pull it and I will need to cut it. This pothos plant was growing like crazy at certain point, but as the humidity dropped and as it probably used a lot of nutrients from the soil, not only that it slowed down, but it is also now performing really good, really bad. Although just look how thick this is. Man, it is crazy that pothos plant can get this thick. And you see how roots are holding onto the wood panel. Crazy. So let's add the brackets. There's one. And the second one. Now I take the other LED bar because this one is hot and I don't want to touch it now. But thankfully I have this one, which I pulled out of Jungle Arium when I switched to a new Luminize system. There we go. The light is now a bit different. It is like more is penetrating up to the back and also to the back of the enclosure, and I'm not sure which look I like more. I guess I just want to remove the old light and then I will later decide which one I like more, which one I prefer more. Now to deal with the misting. In case you don't know, this enclosure is on the same misting system as the Jungle Arium, which means that the misting schedule is the same as in the Jungle Arium. But in Jungle Arium I have way more nozzles, and also the base humidity, just because of the waterfall, the base humidity in the Jungle Arium is really high. So not a lot of misting is needed over there, and therefore I toned down the misting. I decreased the time that the misting system is actively spraying, which of course resulted with a bit of drought in here, and that's the reason why all the plants are really not performing that good, far worse than they used to. So therefore I'm adding more nozzles inside. In the same time that the misting system will be running, it will add more humidity in the enclosure without the need of running a separate system that is not connected to the Jungle Arium. So this should in theory solve it. I only had one nozzle in here before I changed the schedule. That nozzle is right here, and then I added another one, but that of course wasn't enough. Then I added more here, but again this is not enough, so I added 2 more, which means there will now be 6 nozzles in total, and hopefully this enclosure will recover. If you remember, the substrate layer was filled with isopods, but now I no longer see them and I only see predators. You see a spider, it is probably feeding on isopods. Don't go on my finger. Now as the enclosure dried, I assumed they moved into a deeper layers where there is still more humidity, because all of this is dry, you see. You see? As I was hand watering this plant, there is of course a little bit humidity under it, and of course there is one isopod hiding. So yeah, isopods are still present, but not as many as they used to be, or they're just hiding now better. I'm going to plant this plant, and also I'm going to plant this plant. Honestly, I was convinced that this plant won't survive here, but to my surprise it did. And now with more light reaching down, it will probably perform even better. At least I'm hoping this will go here. And unfortunately I broke off the fresh plant. Damn! Thankfully this is a resilient plant, so I'm sure that it will recover. Also, I'm going to remove these dry leaves, but I'm going to leave these dry vines because I like how they look. They are actually filling up the area nicely, but dry leaves are not really that good. Although I will use them as leaf litter. And I'm going to trim this on top. Even though it was attempting to regrow, you see? Man, plants are amazing. Also, I will give some food to plants. I just stick these sticks in the dirt and hopefully that will release some nutrients, much needed nutrients. Not a big difference, but getting there. And tomorrow I will go to store and get some of these bromeliads, hopefully some different species, and I plan to put one here, maybe one over there and one over there to fill those gaps. And I definitely need another plant for this. Now I have a misting nozzle hitting it directly, so definitely it should be better. Although I'm not sure if I will do that in this video. Now we can add the tarantula. It will be super interesting to see where it will go and which is the spot that it will choose for its hide. Whoa. She bolted a bit and I don't have a poking stick. Poking stick right here. Although avicularias are really easy to handle, but first I need to see what is her current mood. If she is grumpy or not. Typical avicularias movement. Weird and janky, you see. Her legs are almost like they are broken or something, like something is wrong with them. Okay, let's go. Also, I need to be mindful. They can poop. They are known to spray poop as a defensive mechanism, so yeah. Girl, let's go, let's go. And now as she's on the light, you can see her coloration much better. She looked super dark on previous recordings. Come on girl, let's go, let's go. Out and about. This will be a historical achievement. You have no idea in what you are participating in. Yeah, I need two hands. Wait a minute. Once they start to move like that, it is really hard to get them to move where you want. Now. There we go. There we go. Avicularia is in the enclosure. Not an ideal spot for the video, but at least she kinda hid and now she will probably feel a bit safer after some time. I didn't really know where to put her because I didn't want to risk to put her here and then she moves somewhere down. Yeah, I wanted her to start up and continue from there. I guess now I will set up the camera and we will observe. Okay, first night went as expected. I currently have no idea where avicularia is. I assume that she is somewhere on top, but in the time lapse, from what you could see, she was only lurking on top, and I think that she never went not even close to the half of the enclosure. So that is really nice because I noticed in the time lapse Bella came outside as I expected that she would, and there was a funny situation when one isopod zoomed in front of her hide and she came out rushing trying to catch it, but I think that she didn't manage to do that, although she was standing outside after that for some time. Anyhow, let's see if we can now find the girl. I did look to see if I can check her, if I can spot her before, and I didn't spot her then, but now I see that she is actually at the same spot where she was when I came in earlier this morning to see if everything is alright. You see? She's right there on top. She probably stayed over there because lights turned on, but I wouldn't really be surprised if she actually starts to web here, making a web tunnel that will eventually be her hide. So yeah, we will see what will happen during next night. But before that, first we will plant these bromeliads. You see, I got them. I already prepared them. I took them out of the pot. I washed them and I can just place them inside. And I'm really satisfied that they are different from the ones that I already have inside. Although I really wouldn't mind having another one of these because these leaves are awesome. And I would like to place this one here on top, but I'm not sure what I will use to secure it, to be honest. Maybe a couple of wooden sticks would do the trick. Okay, there we go. It is better, but not really what I want. So tomorrow I will go to another store and see if they got more bromeliads. I want to put one over here and maybe somewhere over here. Basically, I want to fill the area up more. And now I realize that I actually dropped this sweet bromeliad from its spot, probably with my hand. Yeah, now we go into another time lapse. Wouldn't be a proper video without one feeding, so let's oblige. No. I guess that is going to be a snack for later. There we go, that was a takedown and I had a special angle, so hopefully that will spice up this video. And I will leave that camera inside to do like a time-lapse of her eating, unless she goes inside now. Yeah, maybe she will go in, but there is another roach inside, so that will be interesting for her. Anyhow, let's continue with the time-lapse and maybe we will see roach coming out of her hide. And that would be it. Unfortunately, there was not a lot of action besides that first roach running around. As you can see, the avicularia is still over there. She didn't web at all besides a little bit in that corner. And that is basically all the webbing that she did. So unfortunately, we will need to wait for her to make a proper hide, and I will inform you about it in the future videos. But this video also showed you how active Bella is during the night. So therefore I would still call this video a great success. And before we finish it, I still got these two final plants to plant. One bromeliad and one alocasia, a beautiful alocasia. So for it, I'm gonna reposition this plant right here, and then in this spot I will plant this alocasia because this is a much nicer spot and I want to prioritize growth of this one. And this plant is hardy anyway, so it will be just fine over there. But first I want to see if I can somehow secure this bromeliad over here. Yeah, just like that. Great, I don't think that I need any additional security. I just jammed it between the vines and the tree, so it's looking really nice. More bromeliads, yeah. And by the way, for all of you that reached the end of this video, I want to give you an opportunity to name the avicularia. So it really doesn't make sense that Bella got a nice name while I'm calling this one an avicularia. So if you got nice suggestions, write in the comments, and the rest of you thumbs up the suggestions that you like the most. And in the next video, which will actually be a full collection tour, in that one I'm going to announce her name. Okay, and now in this nice central spot I'm going to put this sweet alocasia, oh yeah, and a little bit of special jungle Arium soil that is super moist and full of everything. Great, great, great. I'm gonna trim these to give more open spot to it so you can raise the leaves up towards the light, and yeah, then it will be awesome. So what do you think? It looks pretty good, pretty sweet, right? I'm so happy that this enclosure finally got a little bit of love and we brought some new life into it, and hopefully the inhabitants will never meet each other. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to thumbs it up and comment something. If you want to support this channel even more, there's a Patreon page and there is a web shop. There is still the promotion going on, so if you want to win a free enclosure, front opening enclosure, make sure to go to the web shop and place an order for 60 euros or more. I upload every Monday, so collection tour next Monday, and see you again soon. Bye!